Hello, my name is Keshwani. There's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for GRE. We have been solving GRE math problems out of this book here, the official guide to the revised GRE, the second edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we are about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 145. Please turn to it. Page 145, where it says set 1, to the set of easy questions, very first set, page 145. Let's take a look at the very first one. Page 145, number 1, this is set 1, the easy questions. These questions that you see there on page number 145, 146, 147, these are the exact same problem that appeared in the first edition of the book on the exact same page number, and therefore I have already done all of those questions, because all the questions that appeared in the first edition, they are already there on my channel, which is why it says day number 267, because the story began on day number 1. Obviously day number 1 through 200 we solved all the problems that appeared in the first edition. Since I already solved these questions, I'm redoing them, so therefore we'll do them at a little bit of a faster pace. But if you need more help, if you need to go slower, you can always go and watch the day that I tell you here. For example, the very first question was done on day number 27. Column A, column B. In column A, we are told that MI spent $75 to buy the bicycle. She bought it for $75, and then they go on to tell us she used $27 to repair it. Repair for $27. So of course her total cost was $102. Her total cost was $102. They go on to tell us that she sold the bicycle at 40% more than the total amount she spent on buying the product and repairing it. She spent $75 to buy it, $27 to repair the bloody thing. Therefore her total cost was $102. The question simply is, which quantity is bigger? 140, or 140%, or 140% of 102. Of course, 140% of 100 is 140. 140% of 100 is 140. Therefore, 140% of 102, whatever the hell it is more than 140. Therefore, the answer is A. We don't actually have to spend our time to figure out exactly what 140% of $102 is, because nobody is asking us for that. These questions are called quantitative comparison. Our job is to compare the two things, not compute the bloody thing, just compare them. Number 2 on the next page. Number 2 on the next page. This book that I showed you, second edition, and for that matter also the first editions, these books do not have too many quantitative comparison questions as for practice. If you wish to practice more, practice, just type in GRE 10th edition. Just type in GRE 10th edition, quantitative comparison, and you will find 169 videos containing 210 quantitative comparison problems from the 10th edition. And that's plenty of practice. This is the 10th edition. You don't have to actually worry about buying the book. It's right there. It has 7 exams, and each exam has 30 quantitative comparison questions. I have done all of those 7 exams, 210 problems. You'll find the solution to those problems on my channel. Let's do number 2. Number 2 on the following page. Why is number 2? My number 2 is different than theirs. Number 2. So here they give us a rectangle that looks like this. P, Q, R, S, T, and V. And they tell us that the squares P, Q, R, V and V, R, S, T have sides of length 6. So here's the first square P, Q, R, V. P, Q, R, V. This has a side of 6. And V, R, S, T. V, R, S, T. That has a side of 6. And the question simply is, the area of the shaded region, how does it compare with 36? Here's the shaded region they're showing us. Column A, area of the shaded region versus column B, where they tell us it is 36. Well, if P to V is 6, then Q to R is also 6, and R to S is also 6. Therefore, the area of the shaded region is just going to be half base times height. So now we're looking at triangle P, Q, and S. In triangle P, Q, and S, in triangle P, Q, and S, we have 1/2. Base is our, this is our base here, which is a 6, and the height is this guy right here, which is 6 plus 6, which is 12. And of course it drops out with 6, and 6 times 6 is just 36. This is also 36. The answer is C. The answer is C. This is one way of doing it, but this was a very tedious and sort of a boring way of doing the whole thing. What we need to understand, what we need to realize is that if we were to pick up this triangle, let me, well, maybe I can talk here. This triangle I'm talking about here. If we were to pick up this triangle, let's call this point W. If you were to pick up the triangle R, W, and S, listen carefully. If you were to pick up the R, W, and S and flip it, pick it up and flip it, we should be able to see that that should fit in, this triangle should fit in this area right here. So the area that they're asking for is simply an area of a square, and a square that is 6 by 6. And a square that is 6 by 6. Of course it's 36. Let's move on to number 3. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 on the same page. Number 3 is something that we did on day number 28 and 29. 28 and 29 were the original videos. I must have done 2 different problems, an extra problem I don't remember, but here we go. In number 3 we are told that the property tax is P% of the assessed value. And they are asking us to compare the tax on 160,000 versus $3,000. So let's figure out the tax on 160,000. The simplest way and the quickest way is to actually set it up as a ratio. So here's our tax, here's the value, and in the problem they tell us that in 2009 property tax was blah blah blah, so on and so forth. The property tax in 2009 on a home which was assessed at 125,000 was 2,500. So there you go. So the tax was 2,500 on a house that was assessed 125,000. Question simply is, what's going to be the tax on a house that is worth 160,000? That's all. That's all. That's all we have to do, solve for x. And therefore x equals to, you cross multiply, and again I'm not going to show you the steps. As I said, if you need more help, you can watch 28 and 29. If you need to go through every little steps, that's what day 28 and 29 are there for. They show you the solution at a much slower pace. So the x here equals 2,500 times 160,000 over 125,000. If you divide top and bottom by 1,000, the 3 zeros drop out. And if you divide top and bottom by 125, you see this 2,500 can be written as, 250 times 10. If you divide top and bottom by 125, 250 has 225s. Because 2 times 125 makes 250. That's it, we are done. The answer is x equals 2 times 160 times 10. Sorry, 2 times x equals 2 times 10 times 160. 16 times 2 is 32. And then we have 1 0 here and 1 0 here. 3,200. And in the second column we have 3,000. In the second column we have 3,000. So the answer is A. The answer is A. Column A, column B, we just found out that column A, the tax on 160,000 is 3,200. We just found it out, and therefore the answer is A. If you watch 28 and 29, you will see that in the original videos I did not solve the problem in this manner. The solution that we just did was a very classical solution, very traditional, very orthodox, very algebraic, very mathematical, very academic solution. In the original videos I did it in a little bit of a untraditional manner. Let's do the next one, number 4. Problem number 4, which was done on day number 30. In problem number 4, they give us x plus y, we are told. X plus y, we are told, is -1. And the question is, which one is bigger? Column A or column B? Well, the simplest, the easiest, the quickest way here is to plug in numbers for x and y and see what happens. So if we have 4 plus a -5, that equals -1. Which means x is 4 and y is -5, in which case the answer is A. But there is nothing in this problem that prevents us from switching the values. There are no conditions on x and y. We are not told that one has to be bigger than the other, and so of course we are not told one is bigger than the other. That would be silly. The question is, which one is bigger here? I didn't realize it. Since there are no conditions on x and y, we can just as well switch them. So instead of 4 plus -5, we could very well have said -5 plus a 4, in which case x is -5 and y is +4, in which case the answer is B. Since we have conflicting answer, the correct answer is D. The correct answer is D, because the answers conflict. Let's move on then. That was number 4. Let's move on to number 5. Question number 5 is something that we also did on day number 30. In question 5, we are told that R, S, and T are 3 consecutive odd integers. R, S, and T are 3 consecutive odd integers. They have to be integers, they have to be whole numbers, they have to be odd numbers, and they have to be consecutive. There are three conditions there. First column, column A, column B, R plus S R plus S plus 1 versus S plus T plus S plus T minus 1. The very first thing we should notice is that S appears in both columns. S appears in both columns. Since S appears in both columns, if we were to subtract S from both sides, if we were to subtract S from both columns, S drops out. S plays no role. S plays no role. It's like asking which one is bigger, 3 plus 7 or 4 plus 7. 7 plays no role. It appears in both columns. We just have to look at 3 and 4. What's the point of wasting your time in saying 3 plus 4, I forget now what I said, 3 plus 7 and 4 plus 7. What's the point in sitting there and saying 3 plus 7 is 10 and 4 plus 7 is 11, therefore 11 is more than 10. There was no point in it. 7 appears in both columns. Get rid of it. Subtract it from both columns. As long as you treat the two columns in the same manner, nothing is going to change. So, subtract S from both columns, and now let's plug in numbers here. They have to be consecutive, they have to be odd numbers. How about 3, 5 and 7? 3, 5 and 7 should do the job. So R is 3 plus 1, that gives us 4, and T is 7 minus a 1, that gives us 6. And 6 is more than 4, therefore the answer is B. Now if you like, you could plug in one more time and see what happens. And you will see that no matter how many times you plug in different values, as long as there are 3 consecutive odd integers, you will always find that the difference in the two quantities in the two columns in this particular question will always be 2. Will always be 2. Do you know why? Do you know why? Here's the reason. Listen carefully. Here's the reason. You see, since there are 3 consecutive odd integers, the second number is 2 more than the first number. If this is 3, that's 5. That's 2 more. And third number is 4 more than the first number. 3 versus 7. You see that? So here we have R plus a 1 and an S and a T minus a 1. But T is simply 4 more than R. So here we have a quantity. So if we were just comparing this guy, then T would be 4 more than R. But then what we're doing is we're taking away 1 from it, thereby reducing the difference to 3. And then we are adding 1 to it, R, and thereby reducing the difference to 2. If we were, one more time, if we were simply comparing R to T, the difference between the two would be 4. And then we subtract 1 from T, hence reducing the difference to 3, and then we give 1 more extra point to R, and therefore reducing the difference between this quantity and the second quantity to 2. The answer will always be a difference of 2. Let's go to the next one. Number 6 on the following page, 147. Page 147, number 6. This is something we did on day number 31. We are asked to compare the slope of line K, versus slope of line L. And here is the picture that is given to us. Here is our line K, and here is our line L. Let me redraw it. Which line is steeper? Which line is steeper? What does slope measure? That's what it is. What does slope measure? Slope measures steepness of a line. If someone asks you what is slope measure, don't tell them it's the difference in y divided by difference in x. They're not asking you how to measure it, they're asking you what does it measure. There's a big difference between the two questions. It's just like when you ask somebody what is pi, what is pi? When you ask somebody what is pi, they invariably tell you it's 3.14. No, I'm not asking you what it is equal to. I'm not asking you what pi equals to. I'm asking you what is it. You have to explain conceptually what it is. What is pi conceptually? That is the same thing that's going on here. What is slope? Not how to measure the slope of a line, but what is it? Well, it's the steepness of a line, and therefore the steeper the line, the greater the slope. Steeper the line, the greater the slope. Which line is steeper? Line K is steeper. Line K is the steeper one. Line L is very shallow. Since line K is steeper, the slope of line K is going to be greater than the slope of line L. That's all. The answer is A. That's all there is. There's nothing there to do. There is absolutely nothing there to do. Line K is steeper and therefore it has a bigger slope. That's all. A lot of people end up putting D for the answer here because they're looking for numbers and they see no numbers there, and they say, well, how can I figure out, how can I calculate the slope of the two lines without any numbers? They are right. They are exactly right. It is impossible to calculate the slope, but nobody is asking us to calculate anything. These questions are called quantitative comparison. Our job is to compare the two quantities, not to compute them. Nobody is asking us to compute anything. I will end at that note, on that note, at the end of the sermon. Amen. I will talk to you tomorrow, okay? I'll see you tomorrow, or we'll continue with the multiple choice questions that you see on page number 147. Bye now.